Let me ask you something uncomfortable. You've talked to people and watched their eyes glaze over mid-sentence. You've shared something exciting and got a polite nod in return. You've been in a room full of people and somehow still felt invisible. And the worst part? You knew you had something worth saying. You just couldn't make anyone feel it. Meanwhile, there's that one person. You know exactly who I'm talking about. They walk into a room, open their mouth, and suddenly everyone stops. Phones go down, eyes lock in, people lean forward. They're not smarter than you. They're not more experienced than you. They just know something you don't. They know how to tell a story. And here's the painful truth. In today's world, it doesn't matter how brilliant your idea is. It doesn't matter how hard you've worked. It doesn't matter how much you know. If you can't tell a story, you are invisible. Period. But today, that changes. Because storytelling isn't a gift. It's not something you're born with. It is a skill, a learnable, trainable, masterable skill. And by the end of this video, you will know exactly how the world's greatest storytellers think, structure, and deliver, and how you can do the same thing starting today. Let's build your story muscle. The one thing that separates forgettable people from unforgettable ones. Here's the first truth that most people never hear. Your brain doesn't remember information. It remembers feelings. Think about it. You can't remember most of what you studied in school, but you remember exactly where you were when something emotional happened. You remember the story your grandfather told you once. You remember the scene from a movie that made you cry at 2 a.m. That's not an accident. That's brain science. When you hear facts, your brain activates two regions, just two. But when you hear a story, your entire brain lights up. The sensory cortex, the motor cortex, the emotional center. Your brain literally lives inside the story as if it's happening to you. This is why a great story doesn't just inform, it transforms. And this is the exact weapon that the world's best communicators, leaders, salespeople, and teachers use every single day. Now let's build yours, the three-part skeleton every great story uses, every powerful story ever told, from ancient campfires to billion-dollar movie studios, follows the same basic skeleton. 1. A character who wants something. 2. An obstacle that gets in the way. 3. A transformation that changes everything. That's it. That's the whole formula. Think about every story you've ever loved, every movie, every book, every speech that gave you goosebumps. Every single one has a character, a conflict, and a change. Here's the mistake most people make. They skip the obstacle. They say, I started a business and it went great. Nobody cares. But say, I started a business, lost everything, slept on my sister's couch for 6 months, and then figured out the one thing that changed it all. Now you have a room full of humans holding their breath. Pain is the engine of every great story. No obstacle, no story, no struggle, no connection. Remember that. The 5 tools of a master storyteller. All right, now let's get into the actual craft. These are the 5 tools that separate average storytellers from the ones people never forget. 1. Start in the middle. Don't begin at the beginning. Drop your listener straight into the action. Don't say, so I was thinking about going to the market one day. Say, I was standing in the middle of a market in Mumbai, completely lost, no phone, no money, and absolutely no idea what to do next. Boom. They're already there with you. 2. Use specific details, not general ones. Weak storytellers say, it was a nice house. Strong storytellers say, it had a blue door that creaked every time the wind came in from the east. Specificity creates a movie in the listener's mind. General words create nothing. 3. Slow down at the most important moment. Most people rush through the best part of their story because they're nervous. Do the opposite. When you reach the peak moment, the decision, the revelation, the turning point, slow down, pause. Let the silence do its job. Silence is the most underused tool in storytelling. 4. Make the listener the hero, not yourself. The biggest mistake people make is thinking storytelling is about themselves. It's not. The greatest storytellers use their own experience to make the listener feel something about their own life. Your story is just the vehicle. Their emotion is the destination. 5. End with a feeling, not a fact. Don't close your story with a statistic or a lesson. Close it with an image, a moment, a feeling. The stories people remember forever don't end with a conclusion. They end with a heartbeat, the advanced layer, what separates good from legendary. Here's the next level stuff that most people never talk about. Emotional contrast. The most powerful stories move between two opposite feelings, joy and pain, hope and fear, confidence and doubt. The contrast is what creates impact. Think about it like music. If every note was loud, you'd feel nothing. It's the quiet notes that make the loud ones hit harder. The unexpected turn. Great stories have a moment where the listener thinks they know where it's going, and then it goes somewhere else entirely. That surprise is what makes a story stick in memory for years. Repetition with purpose. The world's greatest speakers repeat key phrases, not because they forgot, because repetition creates rhythm, and rhythm creates emotion. Think of Martin Luther King. I have a dream. Said it 8 times. You remember every single one. The mindset shift that changes everything. Here's what nobody tells you about storytelling. You already have everything you need. Every embarrassing moment you've lived through. Every failure you survived. Every ordinary Tuesday that felt like the end of the world. Every small victory nobody clapped for. That is your material. That is your gold. The difference between you and a master storyteller isn't the life they've lived. It's the attention they pay to their own life. They notice things, they feel things fully, they write things down, they practice out loud, they tell their stories again and again until the rough edges become smooth. Storytelling is not about being a performer. It's about being honest. The most powerful stories aren't the dramatic ones. They're the true ones. The ones that make a listener think, wait, that happened to me too. That moment of recognition. That's the real magic. You don't need a bigger life. You need to look more closely at the one you already have. Start small. Tell one better story today. Notice what lands. Notice what doesn't. Then tell it again. A little sharper, a little braver, a little more honest. Because one day you'll be that person in the room. The one everyone goes quiet for. The one who makes people feel less alone. The one who changes a mind or a mood, or maybe even a life, with nothing but words and truth. That's what a master storyteller does. And now you know how to become one. If this gave you something real today, hit like and subscribe. Because next week we're going deep into the science of how to speak with confidence so powerfully that people remember every word you say. Let's go.